If you're a regular YouTuber or you make videos for maybe the same customer, you quite often might want to use or reuse video files or audio files or assets from previous projects that you have completed. Normally, when I'm bringing assets into Premiere Pro, I just drag them in from Finder or File Explorer. But if you want to find something from previous projects, the easiest way to do that is to use the media browser. So in the media browser, you can look through all your files and find what it is that you look for. A quick tip: if you go to the same place regularly, then it may be worth your while right-clicking on, for example, YouTube is a folder full of YouTube videos that I have completed, and I can add that to favorites. And now up at the top, under favorites, you can see that I have that YouTube folder that contains different assets that I've created previously. So that was just a quick tip as to add them to your favorites. In this case, I want to bring in some assets from some YouTube videos that I have completed. You can see as soon as I go to my completed folder that it shows me all the projects that I already have under that. And I want to take something from this particular one, which is RX1 Best Camera for Pros. You see all of these, by the way. I should just mention that if you want to view any of my previous projects, I cover just about every aspect of Premiere Pro and After Effects, and many that are related to photography. But now I'm just opening up in the media browser this previous project, RX1, the Best Camera for Pros, and I can go to my media folder and I can look in my A1 folder, and you can see that I have a folder called Books in Slow Motion, and that's where I want to pick up my particular assets from. So I just open that up and click on it, and you can see that all the assets that I have used are there. If, by the way, I just go back to the top of this, you can see that it's not just video files and audio files that are accessible to you through the media browser. Here you can see my previous After Effects files, and I could bring those into the current project if I wanted to reuse them. But let's go back to this Books in Slow Motion. And this might be the file that I'm looking for, so let me have a look at it. This is the advantage of using the media browser. You can just simply double click that and you'll get the file open in your source monitor, and you can scroll through it. You can verify that this is the file that you want. Now, if you want that particular file, you could just drag it straight from the media browser onto your timeline. It's not exactly the same settings. I think the frame rate is different, but let's keep the sequence timeline. If I then play the sequence, you can see that the file is there. It doesn't have all the same settings that I had in the original one. It doesn't, for example, have my Lumetri color settings. I would have to do those again, but the file itself is there. Now, there's a problem with dragging it straight from the media browser into your timeline, because if I right click on this and say Reveal in Explorer, you can see immediately that it's actually still in the original location that it was when we looked it up, and that can be confusing. I personally like to have all my assets for a project in the project folder for that particular project, so that if I want to move it somewhere else, everything moves with it. So I don't really want to do it that way. Let me close that down. Let me type Controller Command Z so that I can take that back out again. And I'm going to show you the way that you should do it. You should select it and click on Ingest. And then you want to know what's going to happen when you do import that. So click on the little wrench and look at Ingest settings. And in this case, you have a number of options. You can copy it, which is what I think that you want to do. That means it will bring it into your new project location. You could transcode it if it's a large file and you want to reduce the bitrate of it, for example, reduce the size of it, or change it to a different codec. You could transcode it. You can create proxies, or you can copy and create proxies. In this case, we just want to copy it. You have options for copying it. You can copy it with verification or without verification. With verification just means that checksums will be compared from the source to the destination, and you can be assured that everything in the copy has worked correctly. So you can do that if you want, or if you're pretty confident and you're not too worried about it, and you're going to be checking out anyway when you import it into your project, you can copy without verification, that it will run a little bit faster. Then the location that you want it copied to, you want it copied to the same as the project. So that's all you need to do to set up your ingest settings. When you've done that, right click on the file that you want to import and click on import. That will cause Media Encoder to run, even if you're just copying it, even if you're not transcoding it. Media Encoder will run and copy the files for you. Media Encoder didn't take long to do that because it was just a copy. It's not creating proxies or anything like that. So we can just simply close that down, and we now have the file in our project. So if I right click on that and choose Reveal in Explorer, you can see now that it has been put into the project file, but Media Encoder has kindly created a Book Slow Motion folder, which is the name of the folder that it was copied from. So that keeps everything neat. We could create a bin for that and drop it into it. So I could, for example, create the bin Books in Slow Motion. We've now got a bin for that. I could just drop that into media, and then I could just drop the file into that. And we now have everything organized in our project file. I can now take it and drop it into my project. It's got the same mismatch because of the frame rate. Keep the existing settings, and we now have the file included in our project. That's all that you have to do. So if you found that useful, please give the video a like, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.